Influence diagram. A graphical representation of situations showing causal influences, time ordering of events, and other relationships among variables and outcomes. Information. Organized or structured data, processed for a specific purpose to make it meaningful, valuable, and useful in specific contexts. Information management systems. Facilities, processes, and procedures used to collect, store, and distribute information between producers and consumers of information in physical or electronic format. Initiating process group. Those processes performed to define a new project or a new phase of an existing project by obtaining authorization to start the project or phase. Input. Any item, whether internal or external to the project, which is required by a process before that process proceeds. May be an output from a predecessor process. Inspection. Examination of a work product to determine whether it conforms to documented standards. Interpersonal and team skills. Skills used to effectively lead and interact with team members and other stakeholders. Interpersonal skills. Skills used to establish and maintain relationships with other people. Interviews. A formal or informal approach to elicit information from stakeholders by talking to them directly. Invitation for bid, IFB. Generally, this term is equivalent to request for proposal. However, in some application areas, it may have a narrower or more specific meaning. Issue. A current condition or situation that may have an impact on the project objectives. Issue log. A project document where information about issues is recorded and monitored. Iterative life cycle. A project life cycle where the project scope is generally determined early in the project life cycle, but time and cost estimates are routinely modified as the project team's understanding of the product increases. Iterations develop the product through a series of repeated cycles, while increments successively add to the functionality of the product. Knowledge. A mixture of experience, values and beliefs, contextual information, intuition, and insight that people use to make sense of new experiences and information. Lag. The amount of time whereby a successor activity will be delayed with respect to a predecessor activity. Late finish date, LF. In the critical path method, the latest possible point in time when the uncompleted portions of a schedule activity can finish based on the schedule network logic, the project completion date, and any schedule constraints. Late start date, LS. In the critical path method, the latest possible point in time when the uncompleted portions of a schedule activity can start based on the schedule network logic, the project completion date, and any schedule constraints. Lead. The amount of time whereby a successor activity can be advanced with respect to a predecessor activity. Lessons learned. The knowledge gained during a project which shows how project events were addressed or should be addressed in the future for the purpose of improving future performance. Lessons learned register. A project document used to record knowledge gained during a project so that it can be used in the current project and entered into the Lessons Learned repository. Lessons Learned repository. A store of historical information about lessons learned in projects. Level of effort, low. An activity that does not produce definitive end products and is measured by the passage of time. Life cycle. See project life cycle. Log. A document used to record and describe or denote selected items identified during execution of a process or activity. Usually used with a modifier, such as issue, change, issue, or assumption. Logical relationship. A dependency between two activities, or between an activity and a milestone. Make or buy analysis. The process of gathering and organizing data about product requirements and analyzing them against available alternatives including the purchase or internal manufacture of the product. Make or buy decisions. Decisions made regarding the external purchase or internal manufacture of a product. Manage communications. Manage communications is the process of ensuring timely and appropriate collection, creation, distribution, storage, retrieval, management, monitoring, and the ultimate disposition of project information. Management reserve. An amount of the project budget or project schedule held outside of the performance measurement baseline, PMB, for management control purposes, that is reserved for unforeseen work that is within scope of the project. Management skills. The ability to plan, organize, direct, and control individuals or groups of people to achieve specific goals. Manage project knowledge. The process of using existing knowledge and creating new knowledge to achieve the project's objectives and contribute to organizational learning. Manage quality. The process of translating the quality management plan into executable quality activities that incorporate the organization's quality policies into the project. Manage stakeholder engagement. The process of communicating and working with stakeholders to meet their needs and expectations, address issues, and foster appropriate stakeholder involvement. Manage team. The process of tracking team member performance, providing feedback, resolving issues, and managing team changes to optimize project performance. Mandatory dependency. A relationship that is contractually required or inherent in the nature of the work. Master schedule. A summary-level project schedule that identifies the major deliverables and work breakdown structure components and key schedule milestones. See also Milestone Schedule. Matrix diagrams. A quality management and control tool used to perform data analysis within the organizational structure created in the matrix. The matrix diagram seeks to show the strength of relationships between factors, causes, and objectives that exist between the rows and columns that form the matrix. Matrix organization. Any organizational structure in which the project manager shares responsibility with the functional managers for assigning priorities and for directing the work of persons assigned to the project. Methodology. A system of practices, techniques, procedures, and rules used by those who work in the discipline. Milestone. A significant point or event in a project, program, or portfolio. Milestone schedule. A type of schedule that presents milestones with planned dates. See also master schedule. Mind mapping. A technique used to consolidate ideas created through individual brainstorming sessions into a single map to reflect commonality and differences in understanding and to generate new ideas. Monitor. Collect project performance data, produce performance measures, and report and disseminate performance information. Monitor and control project work. The process of tracking, reviewing, and reporting overall progress to meet the performance objectives defined in the project management plan. Monitor communications. The process of ensuring that the information needs of the project and its stakeholders are met. Monitoring and controlling process group. Those processes required to track, review, and regulate the progress and performance of the project identify any areas in which changes to the plan are required and initiate the corresponding changes. Monitor risks. The process of monitoring the implementation of agreed-upon risk response plans, tracking identified risks, identifying and analyzing new risks, and evaluating risk process effectiveness throughout the project. Monitor stakeholder engagement. The process of monitoring project stakeholder relationships, and tailoring strategies for engaging stakeholders through the modification of engagement strategies and plans. Monte Carlo simulation. An analysis technique where a computer model is iterated many times, with the input values chosen at random for each iteration driven by the input data, including probability distributions and probabilistic branches. Outputs are generated to represent the range of possible outcomes for the project. Multi-criteria decision analysis. This technique utilizes a decision matrix to provide a systematic analytical approach for establishing criteria, such as risk levels, uncertainty, and valuation, to evaluate and rank many ideas. Network. See project schedule network diagram. Network logic. All activity dependencies in a project schedule network diagram. Network path. A sequence of activities connected by logical relationships in a project schedule network diagram. Networking. Establishing connections and relationships with other people from the same or other organizations. Node. A point at which dependency lines connect on a schedule network diagram. Nominal group technique. A technique that enhances brainstorming with a voting process used to rank the most useful ideas for further brainstorming or for prioritization. Objective. Something toward which work is to be directed, a strategic position to be attained, a purpose to be achieved, a result to be obtained, a product to be produced, or a service to be performed. Opportunity. A risk that would have a positive effect on one or more project objectives. Organizational breakdown structure, OBS. A hierarchical representation of the project organization, which illustrates the relationship between project activities and the organizational units that will perform those activities. Organizational learning. A discipline concerned with the way individuals, groups, and organizations develop knowledge. Organizational process assets. Plans, processes, policies, procedures, and knowledge bases that are specific to and used by the performing organization. Output. A product, result, or service generated by a process. May be an input to a successor process. Overall project risk. The effect of uncertainty on the project as a whole, arising from all sources of uncertainty including individual risks, representing the exposure of stakeholders to the implications of variations in project outcome, both positive and negative. Parametric estimating. An estimating technique in which an algorithm is used to calculate cost or duration based on historical data and project parameters. Path convergence. A relationship in which a schedule activity has more than one predecessor. Path divergence. A relationship in which a schedule activity has more than one successor. Percent complete. An estimate expressed as a percent of the amount of work that has been completed on an activity or a work breakdown structure component. Performance measurement baseline, PMB. Integrated scope, schedule, and cost baselines used for comparison to manage, measure, and control project execution. Performance reviews. A technique that is used to measure, compare, and analyze actual performance of work in progress on the project against the baseline. Perform integrated change control. The process of reviewing all change requests, approving changes and managing changes to deliverables, organizational process assets, project documents, and the project management plan and communicating the decisions. Perform qualitative risk analysis. The process of prioritizing individual project risks for further analysis or action by assessing their probability of occurrence and impact as well as other characteristics. Perform quantitative risk analysis. The process of numerically analyzing the combined effect of identified individual project risks and other sources of uncertainty on overall project objectives. Phase. See project phase. Phase gate. A review at the end of a phase in which a decision is made to continue to the next phase, to continue with modification, or to end a project or program. Plan communications management. The process of developing an appropriate approach and plan for project communication activities based on the information needs of each stakeholder or group, available organizational assets, and the needs of the project. Plan cost management. The process of defining how the project costs will be estimated, budgeted, managed, monitored, and controlled. Planned value, PV. The authorized budget assigned to scheduled work. Planning package. A work breakdown structure component below the control account with known work content but without detailed schedule activities. See also control account. Planning process group. Those processes required to establish the scope of the project, refine the objectives, and define the course of action required to attain the objectives that the project was undertaken to achieve. Plan procurement management. The process of documenting project procurement decisions, specifying the approach, and identifying potential sellers. Plan quality management. The process of identifying quality requirements and/or standards for the project and its deliverables, and documenting how the project will demonstrate compliance with quality requirements and/or standards. Plan resource management. The process of defining how to estimate, acquire, manage, and utilize physical and team resources. Plan risk management. The process of defining how to conduct risk management activities for a project. Plan risk responses. The process of developing options, selecting strategies, and agreeing on actions to address overall project risk exposure, as well as to treat individual project risks. Plan schedule management. The process of establishing the policies, procedures, and documentation for planning, developing, managing, executing, and controlling the project schedule. Plan scope management. The process of creating a scope management plan that documents how the project and product scope will be defined, validated, and controlled. Plan stakeholder engagement. The process of developing approaches to involve project stakeholders, based on their needs, expectations, interests, and potential impact on the project. Plurality. Decisions made by the largest block in a group, even if a majority is not achieved. Policy. A structured pattern of actions adopted by an organization such that the organization's policy can be explained as a set of basic principles that govern the organization's conduct. Portfolio. Projects, programs, subsidiary portfolios, and operations managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. Portfolio management. the centralized management of one or more portfolios to achieve strategic objectives. Practice. A specific type of professional or management activity that contributes to the execution of a process and that may employ one or more techniques and tools. Precedence diagramming method, PDM. A technique used for constructing a schedule model in which activities are represented by nodes and are graphically linked by one or more logical relationships to show the sequence in which the activities are to be performed. Precedence relationship. A logical dependency used in the precedence diagramming method. Predecessor activity. An activity that logically comes before a dependent activity in a schedule. Predictive life cycle. A form of project life cycle in which the project scope, time, and cost are determined in the early phases of the life cycle. Preventive action. An intentional activity that ensures the future performance of the project work is aligned with the project management plan. Probability and impact matrix. A grid for mapping the probability of occurrence of each risk and its impact on project objectives if that risk occurs. Procedure. An established method of accomplishing a consistent performance or result. A procedure typically can be described as the sequence of steps that will be used to execute a process. Process. A systematic series of activities directed towards causing an end result such that one or more inputs will be acted upon to create one or more outputs. Procurement audits. The review of contracts and contracting processes for completeness, accuracy, and effectiveness. Procurement documents. The documents utilized in bid and proposal activities, which include the buyer's invitation for bid, invitation for negotiations, request for information, request for quotation, request for proposal, and seller's responses. Procurement documentation. All documents used in signing, executing, and closing an agreement. Procurement documentation may include documents predating the project. Procurement management plan. A component of the project or program management plan that describes how a project team will acquire goods and services from outside of the performing organization. Procurement statement of work. Describes the procurement item in sufficient detail to allow prospective sellers to determine if they are capable of providing the products, services, or results. Procurement strategy. The approach by the buyer to determine the project delivery method and the type of legally binding agreements that should be used to deliver the desired results. Product. An artifact that is produced, is quantifiable, and can be either an end item in itself or a component item. Additional words for products are material and goods. See also deliverable. Product analysis. For projects that have a product as a deliverable, it is a tool to define scope that generally means asking questions about a product and forming answers to describe the use, characteristics, and other relevant aspects of what is going to be manufactured. Product life cycle. The series of phases that represent the evolution of a product, from concept through delivery, growth, maturity, and to retirement. Product scope. The features and functions that characterize a product, service, or result. Product scope description. The documented narrative description of the product scope. Program. Related projects, subsidiary programs, and program activities that are managed in a coordinated manner to obtain benefits not available from managing them individually. Program management. The application of knowledge, skills, and principles to a program to achieve the program objectives and obtain benefits and control not available by managing program components individually. Progressive elaboration. The iterative process of increasing the level of detail in a project management plan as greater amounts of information and more accurate estimates become available. Project. A temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Project calendar. A calendar that identifies working days and shifts that are available for scheduled activities. Project charter. A document issued by the project initiator or sponsor that formally authorizes the existence of a project and provides the project manager with the authority to apply organizational resources to project activities. Project communications management. Project communications management includes the processes required to ensure timely and appropriate planning, collection, creation, distribution, storage, retrieval, management, control, monitoring, and ultimate disposition of project information. Project cost management. Project cost management includes the processes involved in planning, estimating, budgeting, financing, funding, managing, and controlling costs so the project can be completed within the approved budget. Project funding requirements. Forecast project costs to be paid that are derived from the cost baseline for total or periodic requirements, including projected expenditures plus anticipated liabilities. Project governance. The framework, functions, and processes that guide project management activities in order to create a unique product, service, or result to meet organizational, strategic, and operational goals. Project initiation. Launching a process that can result in the authorization of a new project. Project integration management. Project integration management includes the processes and activities to identify, define, combine, unify, and coordinate the various processes and project management activities within the project management process groups. Project life cycle. The series of phases that a project passes through from its start to its completion. Project management. The application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. Project management body of knowledge. A term that describes the knowledge within the profession of project management. The project management body of knowledge includes proven traditional practices that are widely applied as well as innovative practices that are emerging in the profession. Project management information system. An information system consisting of the tools and techniques used to gather, integrate, and disseminate the outputs of project management processes. Project management knowledge area. An identified area of project management defined by its knowledge requirements and described in terms of its component processes, practices, inputs, outputs, tools, and techniques. Project Management Office, PMO. A management structure that standardizes the project-related governance processes and facilitates the sharing of resources, methodologies, tools, and techniques. Project Management Plan. The document that describes how the project will be executed, monitored and controlled, and closed. Project Management Process Group. A logical grouping of project management inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. The project management process groups include initiating processes, planning processes, executing processes, monitoring and controlling processes, and closing processes. Project management process groups are not project phases. Project management system. The aggregation of the processes, tools, techniques, methodologies, resources, and procedures to manage a project. Project management team. The members of the project team who are directly involved in project management activities. See also project team. Project manager, PM. The person assigned by the performing organization to lead the team that is responsible for achieving the project objectives. Project organization chart. A document that graphically depicts the project team members and their interrelationships for a specific project. Project phase. A collection of logically related project activities that culminates in the completion of one or more deliverables. Project procurement management. Project procurement management includes the processes necessary to purchase or acquire products, services, or results needed from outside the project team. Project quality management. Project quality management includes the processes for incorporating the organization's quality policy regarding planning, managing, and controlling project and product quality requirements, in order to meet stakeholders' expectations. Project resource management. Project resource management includes the processes to identify, acquire, and manage the resources needed for the successful completion of the project. Project risk management. Project risk management includes the processes of conducting risk management planning, identification, analysis, response planning, response implementation, and monitoring risk on a project. Project schedule. An output of a schedule model that presents linked activities with planned dates, durations, milestones, and resources. Project schedule management. Project schedule management includes the processes required to manage the timely completion of the project. Project schedule network diagram. A graphical representation of the logical relationships among the project schedule activities. Project scope. The work performed to deliver a product, service, or result with the specified features and functions. Project scope management. Project scope management includes the processes required to ensure that the project includes all the work required, and only the work required, to complete the project successfully. Project scope statement. The description of the project scope, major deliverables, assumptions, and constraints. Project stakeholder management. Project stakeholder management includes the processes required to identify the people, groups, or organizations that could impact or be impacted by the project, to analyze stakeholder expectations and their impact on the project, and to develop appropriate management strategies for effectively engaging stakeholders in project decisions and execution. Project team. A set of individuals who support the project manager in performing the work of the project to achieve its objectives. See also Project Management Team. Project Team Directory. A documented list of project team members, their project roles, and communication information. Proposal evaluation techniques. The process of reviewing proposals provided by suppliers to support contract award decisions. Prototypes. A method of obtaining early feedback on requirements by providing a working model of the expected product before actually building it. Quality. The degree to which a set of inherent characteristics fulfills requirements. Quality audits. A quality audit is a structured, independent process to determine if project activities comply with organizational and project policies, processes, and procedures. Quality checklists. A structured tool used to verify that a set of required steps has been performed. Quality control measurements. The documented results of control quality activities. Quality management plan. A component of the project or program management plan that describes how applicable policies, procedures, and guidelines will be implemented to achieve the quality objectives. Quality management system. The organizational framework whose structure provides the policies, processes, procedures, and resources required to implement the quality management plan. The typical project quality management plan should be compatible to the organization's quality management system. Quality metrics. A description of a project or product attribute and how to measure it. Quality policy. A policy specific to the project quality management knowledge area. It establishes the basic principles that should govern the organization's actions as it implements its system for quality management. Quality report. A project document that includes quality management issues, recommendations for corrective actions, and a summary of findings from quality control activities and may include recommendations for process, project, and product improvements. Quality requirement. A condition or capability that will be used to assess conformance by validating the acceptability of an attribute for the quality of a result. Questionnaires. Written sets of questions designed to quickly accumulate information from a large number of respondents. RASI chart. A common type of responsibility assignment matrix that uses responsible, accountable, consult, and inform statuses to define the involvement of stakeholders in project activities. Regression analysis. An analytical technique where a series of input variables are examined in relation to their corresponding output results in order to develop a mathematical or statistical relationship. Regulations. Requirements imposed by a governmental body. These requirements can establish product, process, or service characteristics, including applicable administrative provisions that have government-mandated compliance. Request for information, RFI. A type of procurement document whereby the buyer requests a potential seller to provide various pieces of information related to a product or service or seller capability. Request for proposal, RFP. A type of procurement document used to request proposals from prospective sellers of products or services. In some application areas, it may have a narrower or more specific meaning. Request for quotation, RFQ. A type of procurement document used to request price quotations from prospective sellers of common or standard products or services. Sometimes used in place of request for proposal and, in some application areas, it may have a narrower or more specific meaning. Requirement. A condition or capability that is necessary to be present in a product, service, or result to satisfy a business need. Requirements documentation. A description of how individual requirements meet the business need for the project. Requirements management plan. A component of the project or program management plan that describes how requirements will be analyzed, documented, and managed. Requirements traceability matrix. A grid that links product requirements from their origin to the deliverables that satisfy them. Reserve. A provision in the project management plan to mitigate cost and/or schedule risk. Often used with a modifier, for example, management reserve, contingency reserve, to provide further detail on what types of risk are meant to be mitigated. Reserve analysis. An analytical technique to determine the essential features and relationships of components in the project management plan to establish a reserve for the scheduled duration, budget, estimated cost, or funds for a project. Residual risk. The risk that remains after risk responses have been implemented. Resource. A team member or any physical item needed to complete the project. Resource breakdown structure. A hierarchical representation of resources by category and type. Resource calendar. A calendar that identifies the working days and shifts upon which each specific resource is available. Resource histogram. A bar chart showing the amount of time that a resource is scheduled to work over a series of time periods. Resource leveling. A resource optimization technique in which adjustments are made to the project schedule to optimize the allocation of resources and which may affect critical path. See also resource optimization technique and resource smoothing. Resource management plan. A component of the project management plan that describe